Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 27 of Women's Wrestling Focus, brought to you by SEScoops and hosted by me, Ella J, of a Wrestling Gal podcast. Now, it's been a hot minute since we've done one of these, but we are back here with good cause because tonight starts the first round of the All Elite Wrestling Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament with 8 spectacular competitors and plus a mystery competitor who we do not yet know the identity of. But again, as I said, tonight on AEW Dynamite starts the official first round of the tournament with the first quarterfinal matchup going down tonight with Toni Storm facing Jamie Hayter in the first round. And of course, that is not the only first round matchup we will be getting this week. Of course, as of Friday on AEW Rampage, we will also have Rhea versus Ruby Soho. And of course, before we get into the predictions of this tournament, of course, we have to break down the brackets a bit here. Of course, like I said, there was 8 competitors officially in this tournament after all these qualifying matchups. We have 7 competitors confirmed and 1 joker who, again, like I said, we do not know the identity of. So as of tonight, the first quarterfinal matchup will take place with Toni Storm facing Jamie Hayter in the first round matchup. Again, on the other left-hand side of the bracket, we do have former AEW Women's World Champion Dr. Britt Baker versus the Joker, who we don't know the identity of, but we'll break that down in a moment. Of course, on the right-hand side of the bracket, firstly, we have Rhea versus Ruby Soho, which, like I said, is going down this Friday on AEW Rampage. And of course, we also have Red Velvet versus Hikaru Shida, also on the palette for the first round. So this is a very interesting dynamic here. Again, this is history making for AEW, the first ever Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament where the winner will be crowned at Double or Nothing later this May. And so it's going to be a very heated, intense bracket, a very intense tournament, but I'm really looking forward to it because there is some unpredictability here. Of course, tonight we have Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter again in the first round matchup coming up, starting off in this tournament officially. The winner then will go on to face the winner of Dr. Britt Baker and the Joker. And of course, like I said, the winner of Rhea and Ruby Soho will go on to face the winner of Red Velvet and Hikaru Shida in the semifinals. But before we can get into all of that, let's break down the bracket a little bit more. And so, of course, officially tonight, we have Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm. Now, the question here is, will Britt Baker be at the side of Jamie Hayter? And will maybe Ruby Soho be at the side of Toni Storm? Because as we saw last week on Rampage, there was a tag team match with Ruby Soho teaming up with Toni Storm to defeat Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt Baker. And of course, everyone knows Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker have been aligned since Jamie arrived in AEW last August. And you also have their third companion with Rebels. So Jamie Hayter has a bit of an advantage in this matchup numbers wise, but will that come into play into the matchup? I don't know. Or will Jamie Hayter come out solo? Now, I think a lot of people are expecting Toni Storm to take over the win here. However, I will say Toni Storm and Ruby Soho took home the victory on Rampage. So could they be throwing us a curveball and have Jamie Hayter advance to the semifinals with maybe the aid of Britt Baker or Rebel? That, I think I'm going to go with that one. However, I will be happy with whatever the outcome of Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter is because I am so thrilled that we are getting this matchup in the first round. So I'm very excited to tune into AEW Dynamite tonight to find out the result of this matchup. I think it's going to be amazing, whatever the outcome is. But like I said, I think a lot of people are expecting Toni Storm to take home the victory here. However, I think Jamie Hayter might be advancing, but let me know down below, who are you predicting to emerge victorious and advance to the semifinals here? Now, this makes things a little bit more interesting too, should Jamie Hayter win, because her potentials then in the semifinals would either be her ally, Dr. Britt Baker, or this mystery Joker who we do not yet know the identity of. There has been a lot of speculation as to who the Joker could be. It could definitely be a free agent, maybe like an Athena. It could be a Nixon Newell. It could be maybe somebody else from the AEW roster who we don't know yet. It could be a return, maybe. For me, I truly do think it's time, though, that we see Athena in All Elite Wrestling. So my official prediction for the mystery Joker would be Dr. Britt Baker versus Athena in the first round of the inaugural Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. I think that would spice things up so much. Of course, Dr. Britt Baker is a former AEW Women's World Champion, so she's definitely gonna bring the fight to whoever this Joker competitor is. And so should Britt Baker go on then? That makes the semifinals even spicier, because then you have two allies going at it against each other. So there's definitely a lot riding on these first two opening matchups on the left side of the bracket. Again, it kind of depends who this Joker is, whether I could see Dr. Britt Baker advancing or not. So I'm very looking forward to finding out who the identity of this Joker is going to be. There's a lot of free agents in the market right now for AEW to bring in a surprise and really intriguing opponent, or it could be somebody maybe that we haven't seen in a while in AEW, or somebody on the roster who didn't get a chance to qualify. Who knows? I'm sure, though, we are definitely in it. I think AEW is not going to disappoint us with whoever the Joker ends up being. But then on the right-hand side of the bracket is also another story here, too, of a lot of potential matchups here. Like I said, this Friday on Dynamite, we do have the second first-round matchup, the first on the right-hand side of the bracket, with former AEW Women's World Champion Rhea versus Ruby Soho. And this one is going to be really cool, because you have two very high intensity, two crowd favorites in the AEW women's division going at it in the first round. Now that I think about it, though, this whole right side of the bracket is a lot of crowd favorites now that I realize it. Riho versus Ruby Soho is going to be, I think, a really fun matchup. Obviously, Riho brings in a lot of the high-flying style, and Ruby Soho is very ground-centric and can really bring it in the ring as well. So I think this one is going to be a very fast-paced matchup, very exciting and very enthralling. So I don't really know who I see going on here. Riho did just return. We haven't seen her in a while. She qualified for the tournament. So maybe with Riho returning, maybe that's a sign for her to go deep into this tournament. But also you have Ruby Soho, who has had some opportunities in AEW, and she did make it all the way to the finals for the TBS Championship. But can Ruby Soho go all the way in the AEW Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament? I don't know, but I think the real winners in this matchup are the fans, because I think this honestly might be a match of the tournament. It might be the best match of this tournament. Obviously, depending on how the other brackets go, this might be the dark horse, though, in this tournament to possibly be the best match of the entire tournament. So I'm super excited for this. Of course, this is all going down on AEW Rampage, and then whoever wins that quarters finals matchup will go on to face either Red Velvet or former AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida. Now, this one, again, is very interesting, because maybe from an outsider's perspective, if you're going in objectively, it feels like it is very obvious that Hikaru Shida is going to be moving on to the semifinals. However, Red Velvet has recently aligned herself in the baddie section alongside Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan. So could we maybe see that alliance come into play in this quarterfinals matchup? It is very possible. Or maybe could we see Serena Deeb screw Hikaru Shida, who she's been feuding with the last few months. Obviously, now though, Serena Deeb is preoccupied with her championship matchup coming up against AEW Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa coming up at Double or Nothing. So maybe there's probably less of a chance of that latter half happening, but I do maybe see a potential for Red Velvet coming in with some aid in this match, whether it be Kiera Hogan or Jade Cargill or maybe somebody else. She has a few allies that she could potentially utilize and take advantage of in this matchup. However, I do see Hikaru Shida going over here to kind of regain some momentum after losing that street fight against Serena Deeb, and I see her going deep in this tournament, maybe even to the finals. Yeah, I do think that Hikaru Shida is going to be going to the finals. The left-hand side of the bracket is kind of a different story, though, because I feel like it all depends on who this mystery joker is. If it's Athena and Britt Baker in the first round, that's going to be an absolute banger, and I could see either one moving on in the tournament. But I think, honestly, it kind of depends on who the joker is, who I could see be going all the way to the finals. However, on the right-hand side, I think I am going to stand firm in my prediction for Shida to go to the finals. We did see in the TBS Championship Tournament Ruby Soho go to the finals. However, I think now is the time to kind of regain and rejuvenate Hikaru Shida in the AEW women's division and push her momentum forward a bit. However, so I think the ultimate winner of this tournament depends on who the joker is and how the finals are going to shape out to be. But I'm very curious to know everybody else's predictions. Of course, let me know down in the comments down below. What are your predictions for the finals of this first ever AEW Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament? I think it's going to be really exciting, and it all kicks off tonight. So there's a lot to look forward to in the month of May. Of course, the finals of this tournament will be concluding at Double or Nothing later this month, and I am just really honestly very excited for this women's tournament. There's a lot of cool talent in here and a lot of potential matchups that really intrigue me. So it kind of all depends. It starts tonight. But let me know down below, what are your predictions for the finals of the inaugural AEW Women's Owen Hart Foundation Tournament? There is so much unpredictability in this tournament that I'm digging it. There are so many ways that this could go and this could end, but I'm very interested to hear your perspective on this tournament. Of course, it is a first ever in AEW, so I'm super excited for it, but I want to hear your thoughts. And also, who do you think is going to be winning tonight between Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm? There's a lot riding on these first round matchups. Again, there were so many avenues AEW could go with this, but I'm so excited. The winner will be crowned at the end of this month at Double or Nothing, and I am so excited for it. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to SE Scoops so you can be first informed here on all of SE Scoops' exclusive content here on YouTube. And so for episode 27 of Women's Wrestling Focus, this is Ella J signing off.